Hello and welcome. In this episode we are going to tackle what African roads did to our car over the last 20,000 kilometers to be fit for the next stretch.
Today we woke up to blue sky, which means it's a good day to do some repairs at the car. This is what I call a workshop with a view.
Today's job is to replace the right rear Stubaxle and do the wheel bearings. And after that, if there's time, to do the front pinion gear seal. And there's some other jobs that I forgot. We'll try to get the Landy fit for the road again. And yeah, see what happens on the way.
It's actually great to have such a place, because the other option was for Kai to do it in the bush. And that would have taken a lot more time.
During an oil change in Lusaka, we realized that the wheel bearing had play. We ignored it for a while because we didn't have time to fix it, and finally retightened it in Caprivi. I was surprised that the bearing would hold up another 10,000 kilometers, until I now finally have time to replace it. Break the nut with the chisel so I don't need to unscrew it. This is the ugly version, but it can save you the thread if the nut doesn't come out easily. Spanner. There's an edge here. I saw that already in Germany. I thought it's no problem, but unfortunately it has an effect, and we ran through another wheel bearing. So that's why we are replacing the Stubaxle. Out of the axle like rust particles, and so it's not great. Normally you would push in the cones from the bearings with a press, hydraulic press, but I don't have one, and that's why I used the old cones to put the new ones in. So far it worked okay. It's not the cleanest way to do it, but you have to get creative. Always forget. Need to do the back side first, because then the grease seal goes on top. First bearing is in. Now important, the distance ring. Normally you need to measure that again, but yeah, we don't have the equipment. We just pray that it fits again. That one defines the torque at, or the pressure at the bearing. And we first filled it with grease. Second bearing in.
Grease.
210. We set the torque wrench to 65 or 68, please. I'm now going to do the brake pads in the rear, but we're not going to record that, just to be faster.
Well, I'm not recording. Yeah, preparing some lunch. I'm back to check and Kai is still working. It's
Get dark.
it will get dark soon. We will not have light anymore.
To take the bushings out, the easiest is to just try to drill out the rubber in between two metal parts. It's easy to break drills with it, but if you don't have a press, that's what I do. The new one is a pulley one, so you just put those two in and then press this one in.
Voilà. Missing the humans. Crazy the amount of rust we have. Of course, with all the roads in Africa, with all the rocks and hitting the bottom of the car, removing all the paint that we had actually, and then being at the coast, exposed. All the rust we have everywhere. Another day at the workshop.
Yesterday I managed to fix up the back axle, so I did the stub axle, the wheel bearing, I did the bushings of the A-frame, and I did brake pads in the rear. Today is front axle. We are going to try to adjust the steering because the car is always pulling a little bit to the left. We are going to place a bushing from the panhard rod, and we are going to try to change the pinion gear seal because the front diff is leaking. That one needs to be replaced. You can see the difference in the gaps. The other side is new. That one I did in Iran when I snapped the bolt. Then we are going to adjust the steering, and we are going to try to change the pinion gear seal. Rod is out. The bushing is going to get replaced. That one is new already. Both bearings are mounted at the panhard rod. Now the most complicated job is coming, the pinion gear seal. The diff is wet here. Therefore we are going to disattach the anti-roll bar on both sides and then disattach the prop shaft, and below there should be a nut. As far as I know, we need to loosen that, and then we can get the seal out, hopefully. That's the plan. Let's see how it goes. There's the nut that holds the flange. I just broke it loose, so I can remove the flange. The flange came off nice and easy, and if I'm right, then that's the seal. I'm going to clean it and measure it first before I take it out, just to make sure that I bought the right one. There's a little bit of wear on the sealing surface, but it's not bad. I cannot feel a groove, so luckily we don't need to replace that one here. The one thing I couldn't measure is the depth of the seal, and the old one is not as tall as the new one, so I hope the new one fits. The new seal is a little bit longer than the old seal, so right now by tightening that, the flange that is here actually sits against the seal. So we will need to try to get the seal in deeper, because the old one is broken. It's not a lot, so then you can get it in a little bit more and then it fits. It's not sitting as snug as before. So I'm going to probably put a little bit of Loctite underneath just to hold it in place. And checked some internet forums. They said the torque is for the old version, like we have it, 100 Newton meters, and if you have a nut it's 130. So we do 100, but before we apply some Loctite to the bolt and then hope the value is right. Okay, that's 100 Newton meters. So now I'm going to put the prop shaft back on and then the anti-roll bar, and that's basically it. A bit shocking to me, all the screws or all the nuts that hold in the diff were loose, and that's probably also the reason why it's leaking on this side. It was especially on the right side loose, so I tightened them up all around, but I guess I will buy a 9/16 spanner to have an eye on that in the future. I hope the front axle is going to be tight from now on, but we will see. This morning it's time for an air filter change. It's the first one. It's quite necessary. But yeah, it looks really dry. So that means like our system is still airtight and watertight. Yeah. Bit dusty.
Yes.
Next we are going to change the diesel or fuel filter and also wire a new whiff sensor, so a new water in the sensor. The old one was broken in Germany, and in Europe I thought I don't need it, but here I prefer to have one, so we can detect if we have water and fuel or not. Okay, there come blooms. We're just priming the fuel system to get all the air out. We headed back to Windhoek to finish up with an oil change and a fix of our spare wheel carrier, which finally gave up after the crash in Saudi.
We are in Windhoek. We want to do some oil change before we continue. Yeah. And you can see how is rust everywhere. Like the diff is like completely brown exhaust. The frame, like all the rocks that we have had in the last 40,000 kilometers, and then the salt just did a mess below car.
Like in Lusaka at the last oil change, they pulled out the thread of the rotation oil filter, so they are now going to put a helicoil to repair the thread so that the lid is closing again.
Mm-hmm.
We're back at Sven's workshop to get the spare wheel carrier welded. It's broken here, here, and here. And here.
Yeah, all this because of the accident in Saudi. And perfect. Now they also reinforce it even if we have a lot of hits from vibrations and also from closing the door, so it will keep stable and not crack over this part. We just got some parts so we can shower and don't burn, because if we shower after the engine was running, the water is too hot.
But this is a story for another time, when we will introduce our hot water shower system. Until then, enjoy the ride.